R is pretty much similar to Python and MATLAB in that it is an interpreted language. You type in a command, you get a result out. It doesn't have the rigid infrastructure of C and C++ and Java and so on. The strength of R is, to be honest, not the language itself. The strength of R comes from the fact that it was designed and built by statisticians. The two original developers of R are statisticians, and they was accepted by the statistic community. And ever since then, the statistic community have contributed significantly to R through the community package that you can just download and use. So basically, if you have any sort of statistic technique that you wish to use, it is almost certain that there is a community package within R that you can just take and use instead of having to try to rewrite it. So that is the strength of R. For today's lecture, we have several links. So first of all, how many of you have been in yesterday's software carpentry lecture? 1, 2. So Ashwin used what we call an Etherpad. Let me bring that up. The link to that Etherpad is the first link within on the screen. You can go ahead and go. Basically, this is share space where all of you can go in and start taking note. All of you can take note at the same time. And as you have access to this, later on you can come back and visit and collect these notes. That is just not only your note, but also the collaborative effort of everyone taking note within this session. I'll bring it.
Case sensitive. If you put lowercase r, it'll open a different one.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
That's what you want, right?
Yeah, that's what I want. Oh yeah, the link doesn't work because I copy paste that and I had typo in it. Instead of an equal, it should be a dash. So the second link is to the data set that we are going to use for today's sessions. Go ahead and download and unzip the data. And the third link is basically to the link to the entire software carpentry workshop this time, including both the first day and the workshop on the second day on Python and R. If you have any questions along the way, just feel free to interrupt me. So you have installed R, and R has if you install only R, this is what you will get. Let me bring that up. This is the original GUI of R, and I think actually we had to use this up until 3 to 4 years ago. This is good enough for practice, but in reality it is not very intuitive to use. So that's why we only install R, but in order to interact with R, we are going to use what we call R Studio. This is an interactive development environment. The design of R Studio is in 4 frames. This is quite similar to something like Eclipse or MATLAB. On the top left frame, this is where you can have your source code open and you can do your editing. The bottom left frame, by default, this is where this acts as a console for R. So anything that you run within the top left frame, the output will be outputted out onto the console. And you can also type things directly on the console and get a result out. The upper right windows, this has two tabs, environment and history. Within the environment, anything that you run within here, anything that you executed through the console or through the source code is going to be stored within the environment. This is kind of similar to the environment of MATLAB. You can also import data directly into this environment without going through the process of, without having to go through to typing in the command. The second tab of the environment is the history. So basically the history of every command that you have typed in or anything that you have run through the source code is going to be recorded here. The bottom right corner, it has multiple tabs. There's the file tab, which basically show you the directory of where you start up the RStudio. This is your home directory. The second tab, the plot, any graph that you generated with R, either through the console or through the source code, unless you specify that you are going to save it to file, it will be shown here. Packages. So you, all of the packages that you have installed for this environment and any packages that, that you have. Help. So let's say if you have some command within R that you don't know the purpose to, you can type in question mark, and the documentation for that specific command would appear within the help window. Viewer, basically to show the data in a more formal column type format, but usually if you click on the data environment, it will pop up on the left side. So I never use the tab viewer much.